All right.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
All
right.
All right, let's go.
And this is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So right off the bat, you'll notice it says Nintendo Presente. This is in French. French is the fastest version of the language on the American version of the game. If you have European version, then German's faster for you. So there will be French voice acting and French text, and that makes it a little more interesting. We're also going to be playing on the Wii U version of this game. The Switch version, on average, has 3 seconds loads slower. So for example, if I go into a shrine on the Switch, it'll load, on average, 3 seconds slower than on the Wii U. So we save a little time using the Wii U as well. The game pretty much starts off with a couple cutscenes. So we're going to go in here, get the Sheikah Slate, and then head out to the world. Luckily, this game has cutscene skips compared to some of the Zelda games. So right here, we can just skip a cutscene and go right into the action. So I'm going to start using a trick called whistle sprinting. You're going to see it pretty much throughout the entire run, and what it allows you to do is it allows Link to run at basically full speed without depleting his stamina meter. It works by holding down the whistle button and then mashing the B button really hard, the B button being the button used to normally run. And so you're going to see me use it going from like here to the end of the Shrine of Resurrection, going across fields, pretty much anywhere. It's a really good trick. It's also useful for climbing up mountains because since you're pressing B to mash the sprint, you also don't cling on walls because B gets you off the walls. So you see me there, I'm whistling. Although you don't hear any noise, the whistle sprinting technique does generate a loud noise to like the surroundings, like the nature and stuff. So if I whistle sprint past like some birds or bugs, they'll get scared and run away. So it actually wants to avoid whistle sprinting at the start here. And yeah.
Another interesting note about whistle sprinting is that it is not the full speed that actual sprinting is. So most of the time, the most optimal thing to do is to transition in between whistle sprinting and full-on sprinting and kind of managing your stamina in that way.
Correct. Yeah, you can fall into the trap of sort of just like whistle sprinting and not remembering to start sprinting again, and you can just lose like half seconds here and there.
It's a very easy thing to do to want to continually whistle sprint, since it is an unlimited sprint, basically.
So here I'm going to sprint out in here and almost run out of stamina. The reason being because right after this cutscene, we're going to catch a bug, and there's a tree decently far from the entrance of the shrine with a bug on it. And for some reason, he'll hear you right like near the exit of the Shrine of Resurrection. It's really weird, but like, whistling is pretty loud, so I guess it makes sense.
And this view never gets old, every run.
You can see everything from here. Death Mountain, the ominous Hyrule Castle. It's actually interesting. Before you head to the tower, the Plateau Tower, the game actually doesn't spawn little like wisps of evil around Hyrule Castle, so it looks like not evil from this view. So again, we're not going to whistle sprint until we get this bug over here. We're also going to get some mushrooms.
So I guess we should mention about the bugs. This is the first Zelda game to have a major crafting system like this, and you can use it to make elixirs, food, which we're going to have some that's going to make some of the boss fights a lot easier.
Yeah, that bug in particular, we're going to be using it to make an attack potion later on, which you'll see how that's useful. Come in handy later on.
Yeah, so now we got our trusty woodcutter's axe, which we're going to use for pretty much the entirety of the plateau.
Yeah. It slices and dices. It's useful for cutting trees, hitting enemies, and other objects. It does quite a lot. The fact that it's a two-handed sword, Link uses both his hands to hold it, means that he can do a really good spin attack where he just sort of repeatedly hits an object or enemy, which is great.
And other two-handed weapons in the game as well, as you'll see later, they have different two-handed, charge attacks as well, such as spears and then short swords.
Grab some Hyrule herbs and apples there. It's not like I'm afraid of getting hit by enemies, but there's going to be some techniques I'm going to be doing later on which will damage me. And so getting food in the plateau is critical for surviving later on. So this is the first use of the axe you're going to see. We're going to run up to this guy. We're going to unequip the axe right like that, and Link will have no end lag from hitting the enemy with the axe. That's actually a relatively new technique. It was found about 2 weeks ago. So if you haven't seen it run in, I guess, 2 weeks, that's new for you.
The old optimization we used to do with that was jump out of the attack to cancel the animation so you can just directly grab the shield.
Yeah, you can jump out of almost anything in this game.
It's a very good way to just cancel animations and save a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Regain control faster.
Yeah, so before this point, the game time was actually static, but activating this tower begins running the game's day-night cycle.
Yeah, the day and night cycle isn't too important for 90% with Amiibo, but if you're doing it without that tool, then the day and night is very critical. You don't want it to be too far into the night once you finish up the plateau, because bad things will happen. So at the start here, we're basically going to go through the intro section of the game. We're going to do the first beginning shrines, the ones that give you the Magnesis, Bombs, Stasis, and Cryonis runes. And after that, of course, get the Sailcloth.
These runes are basically the main tools that the game gives you for exploration. There's no more abilities that you get later on except for upgrades to them. So outside of this, these are just the main tools you have in the game.
Exactly. And so now we're going to do our next big glitch. We're going to run off this tower, start throwing a sword. Oh, goodness me.
Oh, okay.
What you can do there, if you might have probably guessed, you can cancel the fall damage that Link would normally take from jumping off a high distance. But unfortunately, I have to use the D-pad to throw the sword. And the gamepad D-pad will occasionally just kind of freak out. I don't really understand why it happens, but it happens.
Sometimes the D-pad can really mess this trick up.
Yep. There we go. That trick is really cool. It's unfortunately not too useful outside of the tutorial section, because once you get the Sailcloth, you can just use that to avoid any fall damage that you would get.
Unless you just want to look cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way that's done is you first prep throwing the axe in the air, and then you release it right before you hit the ground, and then unequip the axe, which is what actually executes the technique.
And you actually need to release the axe with a pretty decent timing, so to the point where it's not actually thrown yet. It's still in Link's possession, and you can still unequip it.
Yeah, the trick has a little bit of leniency, though. If you're starting out and don't know how to time it, you can have it happen where you actually do throw the axe and then still cancel the fall damage, which can be tricky, because I've had that happen, and I don't know where the axe is thrown. It just sort of is gone.
And the axe is pretty necessary for the rest of Plateau.
Yeah, as well as this shield. So we're going to go right off here and do a shield surf. This is a really cool technique they gave to Link in this game. He can just sort of ride down smooth slope surfaces, so not like rocks and stuff, but like that was like grassy hill. Anything that's like grassy or snowy or sandy works really well with the shield surfing.
And with the shield surfing comes the durability on the shield. It does wear away the durability of the shield when you are on grass or other surfaces like that, any surface besides sand or snow. So managing that throughout Plateau is very important to keep the shield for later parts of it.
Of course. The vocal shield that we got is actually very weak. I can only use it about like 6 or 7 times. It's very limited. Every time I do a shield surf, it loses like 1 durability point, and I only have around 7, like I said. Now we're in Magnesis. So this is the first shrine. You have the freedom of doing the 4 shrines of the plateau in any order you want, but the Cryonis and Stasis shrine are pretty far out of the way, and so from the tower, you can choose Bombs or Magnesis. Bombs is faster if you want a faster in-game time, because the route with taking bombs first gives you, you like warp instead of doing more running. So if you want to do no amiibo and avoid the scary things at night, you would do that. But going to Magnesis first, otherwise, is really good. It allows you to get 2 extra arrows. It also allows you to do a really cool strategy in the Bomb Shrine coming up. But enough about the Bomb Shrine. This is the Magnesis Shrine. We can just lift these objects right away and get them out of our way. Oh my. Okay.
Do you have a moment for a few quick donations?
So now we're going to do a shield jump there. That's a technique where you basically initiate a shield surf in midair and then unequip the shield, and it allows you to basically have a double jump at your disposal to cross gaps like that.
That's another reason it's very important to have a shield on you at most times.
Exactly.
It's used quite a lot of places in this game for speedrunning. It's very useful.
Yeah, even casually, shield jumping is actually really good. Like, you don't necessarily have to unequip the shield to do a shield surf, or shield jump, quote unquote. But you'll find where if you're like doing a really close shield jump, unequipping the shield will let you sort of land in spots better. Okay. So coming out of this shrine, we have another cutscene. Basically, after you do the first shrine, it opens up a lot more. There's not really any dialogue or cutscenes, and you can just go to the rest of the shrines very fast. You're going to notice that I'm going to do the text in a certain order. The old man will ask me 4 questions. And for the first one, I'll do the top option, and for the second and third, I'll do the bottom options, which avoids an extra text box, so it saves a little bit of time there. It's the small things that count when you do a category as short as 90%.
Do you have a moment for a few donations?
Sure.
We are getting a large volume of donations right now, so first I'd just like to thank everyone who is donating. So I'm just going to rattle off a couple of the bigger ones we have with no comment. So thank you for the anonymous $200 donation, Glitchhound with the $250 donation, the anonymous $1,000 donation,
Wow.
and Brainiac for the $500 donation.
Wow.
Awesome.
Thanks to all of you guys. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to read all of your donations, but we appreciate every single one that we're getting in there. And we are just under 4,000 for Portal 2, so let's just close that up, guys.
So now we're going to start going to the bomb shrine. Like I mentioned before, we get these nice 2 arrows on the way. And we're going to again see the use of the shield come into play. Originally, we didn't get a shield in 90% because we don't necessarily need it. But the shield surfing technique is really versatile, as I mentioned before.
Shield surfing is generally a technique that saves a lot of time, and you just want to use it as much as you can. Even if you need to conserve the durability, it's very important to do that as well.
Yeah. Oh, I bumped my shield a bunch. That might mess up my durability, but it should be fine. So here we're going to walk in a particular movement. If I were to be more... so if I were to fall there, I would actually trigger a cutscene where a guardian were to wake up. Both sides of the wall I just crossed are actually covered in a trigger that will activate one of 2 guardians. So that helps skip that. And so now we're going into the bomb shrine. This is a really cool shrine. It's quite short, but it can get quite technical depending on how you do it. Breath of the Wild is cool, both in speedruns and in casual play, as it gives you a lot of creativity to work around with, whether you're doing boss fights or simply shrines. There's a lot of ways that you can manage to solve them. This bomb shrine, for example, you can just sort of throw the bombs and do it at a normal pace, but you can also make it very technical and just sort of speed through. So as I mentioned before, doing Magnesis first as a shrine has the advantage of giving you access to a really cool technique in the bomb shrine. When you do a shield jump over suspended air and then... Ooh, that's not what I wanted. So there I activated a glitch in Magnesis, which carried over into this shrine, which gave Link no knockback. And so you can just sort of run down there and blow yourself up and continue on. You have to wait for the bomb to recharge. I'm going to try and do a jump here. All right, awesome. That jump can be quite tricky to make. I've practiced this shrine way too much and had to fail that.
The shrine's original intention is for you to use that small cannon on the other side to shoot a bomb over and explode the blocks, but with a very precise throw, you can explode all 6 that you need to get through, as you just saw.
Something cool, I guess, to note is if you look at the monks giving you the little spirit orbs, they all have a different pose they're doing. The 4 monks on the plateau all sort of have their arms in a sort of open-ended pose, and they all make a triangle. And so they all, if you combine all their poses together, you get the Triforce, which is kind of cool.
There's a lot of things in this game that are very symbolic like that.
Yeah, the Magnesis Shrine also is named Oma Now or something, after Aonuma, who's the director of this game. Most shrines, I don't really know, have any sort of like known etymology behind the names, but that's one that's pretty obvious. It's interesting. But now we're going to go to the Cryonis Shrine. To get here faster, we want to warp to the Shrine of Resurrection because it's quite close to Cryonis. Casually, you'd probably get the warm doublet or some chilies and cook up a cold resistance potion before going here. When you're in the cold, such as the Tundra to get the Cryonis, you take half a heart of damage every 10 seconds. But if you're fast enough, you can just survive that without any armor. So that's what the healing food I got earlier, that's how it comes into play. There's also some more mushrooms here, which are very convenient.
Another small optimization to mention is if you noticed when we teleported back to the Shrine of Resurrection, Orca actually crouched before pulling up the map. That basically skips the animation of Link pulling up the Sheikah Slate for the first time.
Yeah, there's a flag on the plateau where if you open up this Sheikah Slate, it'll give you a big cutscene. It goes away after you get the sailcloth, which is funny. You'd expect it to always happen the first time you use it, but no, it's only during the plateau. They just, I guess, assume you've already used it.
And this right here, that's a really good example of how fast shield surfing can be.
Yeah, also the shield jump. The shield really is the playmaker here in this segment. Ooh, not that. I almost ate my Hyrule herb. That heals 1 heart, and the mushrooms and apples heal half a heart. I'm only going to take 3 hearts of damage in this segment. And since I have 3 hearts, I only need to heal the remaining. I only need to have a little over when I need to survive, I guess.
You're going to notice here the whistle sprinting into the cliff face. As long as you are below a certain angle, you can actually slightly run up before it'll make you fall down a little bit. And if you whistle sprint into that, it'll recharge your stamina on the way up, so you can climb longer.
And as you notice, I've done a bunch of shield surfs, and my shield that can only take 7 hits has taken much more than 7, because again, in snowy and sandy areas, your shield doesn't lose any durability when it's used.
And this shrine is one of the main places that we are really going to need the shield for to do a certain trick.
Yeah, this whole segment, sometimes I'll accidentally lose durability to my shield earlier on in the plateau and have it break in this shrine. Spoiler alert, we're going to use the shield. And I won't have a shield for after this shrine. It's super slow. Going from the Stasis shrine to going from Cryonis to Stasis is significantly slower without a shield, at least half a minute-ish.
If I could interject for a moment, I would just like to announce that Portal 2 has just been met.
Awesome.
So you can look forward to seeing that directly after this run of Breath of the Wild by Orcastraw. Next up, we have 2 incentives for Earthbound we still want to push, the Out of Bounds exhibition before the run and the Fuzzy Photo Collection, both of which still have about 10K to go on the first and 17 to go on the second. So let's get those going.
There's a tricky shield jump you can do here. It's a technique called Cryonis block jump, where you just ride your shield all the way up there. And that was a make or break. If I were to fail that a second time, I wouldn't be able to do it again, because now my shield only has 1 use left. If I use it again, on a hard surface, it'll break. And like I said before, I really need it for getting the Stasis. There's actually a theoretical route that was proposed before, where you would get a speed potion for the plateau, but the shield just completely makes that not useful, because all the long walking sections on the plateau typically have somewhere you can shield surf. All right. So we're going to come over here and ride our big old shield. The terrain in this area is all coated as snow, pretty much. So even this rock, I'm going to bounce my shield on it, and it's not going to break, even though it should, because it's not actually a rock terrain, it's snow, which is nice. I'm also going to have to do some healing here, because again, just like getting to the Cryonis Shrine, I have barely not enough health to survive, so I need to eat a mushroom.
Yeah, and so when Link runs in snow, he's actually hindered just a little bit speed-wise. So if there's rock terrain that's barely out of the way, you'd rather want to run on that than running through the snow.
Oh my. That always scares me, because the terrain after where I got off the shield is rock. It's real rock. And so I don't want to break my shield. Although it doesn't matter too much.
Very careful where you surf.
Yeah. So here we're going to use the fall damage glitch once again. Okay, this is weird. I'll have to get off the shield. There we go. So this is the final shrine on the Plateau, Stasis, and the Stasis rune is a really, really good rune. It's quite versatile. All of the runes in this game have sort of condensed appeal. You know, you have Magnesis, which can be used on so many things. Stasis, which can freeze literally everything. And this shrine, or this rune rather, is particularly useful in speedruns because you can pause things, but you can also cause them to store potential energy and then release it after the rune deactivates, which you will see after this shrine. It's a great effect. If you've seen, you might have seen videos of people abusing the Stasis rune on Twitter or something. I say Twitter, that's where I get my amazing Breath of the Wild videos from.
Stasis is one of it is the rune in this game that really opens up the creativity for speedruns with this. It really gives you a lot of opportunity to do some cool tricks.
The shrine can be quite tricky with having to set up the cycles so that you can hit that rock from far away. And then also we get to do this. Ooh, okay.
Ooh.
That jump can be a little bit awkward sometimes based off the angle you get going into it. You gotta jump around the block and kind of just let the ball move link a little bit.
Yeah, it can be easy if you're good at sort of gauging your distance. Like you basically just want to jump off the platform at the last second possible, but that means if you're not careful, you can just sort of fall off and not have initiated a jump at all. But yeah, now we're done with the shrines, and we're good to get the sailcloth, or paraglider, I guess.
And here's where things get interesting.
Exactly. So you have one last chance to hear the old man's beautiful, like, 3-note piano riff.
Some different languages of the old man actually have some pretty funny voices for him.
Yeah, the Italian one.
Yeah, Italian. Look that up on YouTube if you get a chance.
All right, so as mentioned, we're about to use the Stasis rune to great effect. We're going to come over here, hit this rock, switch to the bomb room, hit it a bunch, just like a bunch. Ooh, I need to hit it one more time. We're going to drop a bomb there in first-person mode, grab the rock, and now we're going flying.
Nice.
But we are not done yet. Okay. So we're going to stand in this precise spot, crouch, open up the Chica slate. Oh, I need it. No, do this. Do this here. Then we're going to do this. Okay. That should be good. And we're going to ride this to the top of the Temple of Time. Awesome.
Nice. Nicely done.
Now, as you can see, Stasis is a pretty fun rune.
It is.
There's a lot of different ways you can use that. Any interactable object you can basically use for launching like that, and even launching himself with trees and stuff like that.
Yeah, even small objects like little chests can be used. Although typically, actually no, only the middle chest is the one you can magnesis. But anyways, we have the sailcloth now, which means we're good to go to beat the whole game. So once you get off the plateau, the game gives you complete freedom to do whatever you want. You can go to a divine beast, you can go to a shrine, you can hear Yahaha, you can basically do whatever you want. And the way that this game was designed, the developers basically intended the final boss to be sort of rite of passage. So once the player feels that they're strong enough, they can go ahead and try and beat the game. The game also encourages you to like sort of raid Hyrule Castle early on. People will be like, OMG, there's super good loot in there, but I'm not a strong hero, so I can't get it. Which I guess also encourages players to find out just how terrifying Hyrule Castle is if you're unprepared. But I'm very prepared, so we're going to go there right now. One thing to note is that I still have that knockback glitch active that I mentioned earlier, so I need to just sort of throw Link's face in the rocks. This is another application of the Stasis rune called a Stasis launch. By hitting yourself at just the right time, you can just go flying into the distance.
And what's the window of time for that trick?
Was it? What?
What's the window of time that you have so that you can get the speed?
Mostly what people do is they use the little tings of stasis to actually kind of time
Yeah.
when they're going to jump. I know a lot of people have different timings for what they do with it. It's a pretty big window of opportunity.
Enough about Stasis, though. This is everybody's favorite rune, the amiibo rune. So there are a couple of amiibos I'm going to be using in this run. As mentioned, this is the horse amiibo, which lets you do a little safer of a route getting to Hyrule Castle. It's hitting nighttime, and I don't have to worry about Stalfos hitting me. If I didn't have an amiibo, I would have to sort of hit trees and fly all the way to Hyrule Castle. You'd have to do 3 launches, and Stalfos will eat you for breakfast. Once the game is past, I think 9 p.m. in game time, then they'll start spawning. It's currently like 8 p.m. It's in military time, so I have to do some conversion, some finagling. But yeah, they're about to spawn soon if I were to do that.
And also using the amiibo for a horse, really, it also negates the RNG you'd have to experience for getting a horse that has good stats. Particularly speedruns obviously want one that has good speed. So the Epona one that you get from the Smash Bros. Link amiibo is 4 speed and 4 stamina.
Yeah, the Epona horse is super good. She like slices and dices. There's like 3 mystical horses in this game. There's Zelda's horse, Ganon's horse, and then Link's horse. I don't know which Link's horse, just one.
Horses are a thing of their own in this game.
As well as the Guardians. So this guy really likes to kill me. I'm alive.
Ooh.
Awesome. I might die. I'm alive. Okay. So I'm trying to enter the front door right now, which is quite difficult. Oh my. Okay. I fell off the horse. This is interesting.
Nice.
Oh my god! That's crazy. Well, that was something special.
So, horses in this game can sometimes have a mind of their own. As you can see, one of the main things with them is once they get a certain certain bond with you, they will actually travel paths themselves. And kind of mixing that with controlling them fully can lead to some interesting situations like that.
Teleportation? So the DLC cyclists they added like last week, well, the game will give them to you after your first death because, I don't know, that's just when they spawn. So we're going to get all these beautiful side quests now. We're also going to scan an amiibo. So I'm going to crouch here so that Guardian doesn't see me and spawn some fishies. And while those are spawning, I'm going to go in here. So we're going to do yet another stasis launch. This time into the beautiful Hyrule Castle. Ooh, that'll not be bad. I have to aim there with a mini-map. It's kind of hard to control it. But basically, I know exactly where I want to go by looking at the map. We're going to grab some fishies here. There's actually a lot of fish. I got really good luck. Ooh, this had better be like a hat or something. All right, that works.
That would have been hilarious if we got the cap of time.
I know, it's great.
You can defeat Ganon with Wind Waker and Link's outfit.
All right, so we're going to release this lab into the world and just get hit in the back. And voila, Hyrule Castle. Ooh, okay, we're good. I have to do a bit of a stealthy entrance there. Thank you.
I guess some interesting things to note about the stasis launches as well is the use of the bomb in that one and the one on the plateau. It basically changes the direction of the kinetic energy from the stasis to launch you a specific angle.
Yeah, you can also use arrows, which I'll show you in a little bit. It'll be fun. So now that we're in Hyrule Castle, we can go and beat the game, but I'm not quite sure enough. Their design is working quite well right now. So I need to get some loot. I need to get bananas for an attack potion. I need to get swords to hit Ganon. This is quite scary, actually. These guys love to poke Link in the butt. The spear guy especially. I'm gonna actually drop a bomb here so that they don't follow me in this room. If you don't drop a bomb there, they will sometimes chase you, sometimes not. It's hard to say. Ooh, we ran out of stamina.
Is there a moment for some donations coming up?
Yeah, you can give some donations now.
First of all, Why Do You Look donated $1,000.
Wow.
Wow.
They say, SGDQ has been awesome so far. Props to all the runners and the tech team that makes everything work. Here's $1,000 for the Fuzzy Pickles Pictures and Earthbound run tonight. Another $500 if everyone in the audience says Fuzzy Pickles.
Fuzzy Pickles.
Also have a few quick ones here. Anonymous $25 donation that says, thanks for a great week. And Bethan Ainsley donated $365 and said, I've always heard that $1 a day helps keep the doctors okay. Thank you so much for all of your donations, everyone. They are all very much appreciated, but I obviously do not have time to read them all, so please keep sending them in.
All right, I got pretty decent arrow luck here. The game will spawn anywhere from, I guess, like 5 to like 40 arrows there. I want about 20-ish, and I got 20-ish, so we're good. These arrows will come in handy during the final boss fights, which are soon to come. Oh, I don't need to do this. I forgot. So if you get electric arrows, you can just sort of shoot this guy in the face, and just how when Link drops his weapons when he gets electrocuted, enemies follow the same rule. So you can just do that. I would sneak strike him with the bomb, but that's not going to happen. Don't worry though, we still have more bomb action coming up. Grab this razor shroom. Alright, cool. It's tricky to try and grab that and not like the silent shroom or whatever it's called. So bombs are pretty awesome. Enemies seem to think that at least. So they're just gonna not notice me, and then we're gonna cook. So I need this, 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 and this. Impossible! Oh no.
So an interesting little trick there. By walking up behind the enemies without them actually noticing you can do a lot more damage to them. And in this situation, just one-shot them.
Yeah.
And then throwing the bomb allows you to get them from the back because it kind of distracts them, kind of like a decoy.
Alright, so now I have a level 3 attack potion. Level 3 attack potions boost to every hit from your weapons by 50%, so it's quite significant. If I didn't have that potion, I would have to get more weapons or something. Oh, I need this. So, I like amiibos, so we're going to scan some. There's a really cool way to travel Hyrule Castle with these. I can put this here, hit with the axe, do some finagling, and ooh, we should be good. Indeed. All right. So that is a type of stasis launch you can do with the amiibo boxes. You can launch them upwards and then just ride them to the top. It's quite awesome. The amiibo boxes are quite versatile. You can use them to launch horizontally or vertically, and they contain. Ooh, I'm dead. Well, that happens. That actually doesn't happen to me too often. You notice how I sort of jumped away to try and avoid the shot, but his angle was too steep for me to avoid it, I guess.
Sometimes that area can put you into a really sticky situation with all the guardians floating around.
Yeah, you can like headshot him if you're like good at headshots. He's quite hard to hit though. The like little sentry guardians.
I have another big donation if you have a moment.
Sure.
The Yeti just donated $20,000.
Nice.
Thank you so much for that donation. They say, hey all, Yeti here. I don't want it to be over yet. That's why I'm happy you all came together and unlocked Breath of the Wild and the Portal 2 runs. The more time we can spend together, the more awesome we can do for Doctors Without Borders. We feel so blessed again to take part in this event, our 11th Games Done Quick to date. As much as we are a sponsor event, we feel connected to it as part of the community. Thank you. Thank you so much, Yeti.
Oh, there it is. That was scary. When the moblins get close to the wall like that, it's possible that the, whatever it's called, Culver Crusher, Beast Rock, that's what that is got. It's possible that it'll actually fall out of bounds, which is quite awful. I would have to reset, because I need that sword to beat the game. Hello? Okay. Thanks. Thanks. I have no idea what's happening. Okay.
Oh.
It's just saying no to the amiibo. What? Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
There's an alternative strategy to climb Hyrule Castle, so that's not the end of the world if that were to be not functional.
Your console's like, you better not be using amiibo.
I don't know. Maybe it's the interference. I am in quite the densely populated room. NFC, which you use to scan the amiibos, it's like you like touch the amiibo physically to the controller, but it's like actually wireless. So when you like are playing in Switch and put it on airplane mode, it's like, do you want NFC to be off? So I guess it could be a thing. You notice it's raining currently. For some reason, in 80%, I guess in all files, whenever you die, it has a chance of spawning rain. The game's weather isn't exactly consistent with the file that you were on. So even if you press save when it's like sunny, if you like die, it might spawn you with rain, because I don't know. But welcome to the Ganon Sanctum. We're actually gonna beat the game now. So, as I mentioned, the developers made the boss fights harder depending on how much of the game you've done. And so actually we're gonna fight all 4 Divine Beasts, or all 4 Blights right now. I got good luck here. Ooh, I need this. I'm gonna change my equips real quick. All right, cool. So one Blight can spawn in 2 different spots at the start of the fight. You want him to spawn close to you because when you do the finisher, he won't topple. And he's out. A lot of the fights have 1 cycles like that where you can just clear them out super quickly. I think the only one that doesn't have a 1 cycle is like Fire Blight and like Water Blight. But yeah, those aren't Wind Blight. So Wind Blight, second phase, you wanna hit him with headshots. Pretty much all the fights, you wanna aim to get these headshots. When he gets hit with 3, he'll go topple. And if I can, ooh, okay. Ideally, you want to spear him before he gets up, but he was impatient. All right. So I have a spear. It's not very strong, so we're just going to break it and do Water Blight. So if you stand in a specific spot, you can get these double hits on Water Blight, where 1 swing of the sword hits multiple times. It's quite precise. I actually got triple hits there, where 1 spin got 3 hits on them. That's quite good.
One thing interesting to note about these bosses here as well is these are not in their original locations in the game. By going straight to Hyrule Castle, you're actually fighting them just in Ganon Sanctum. So, for example, in this boss fight, he actually would raise a water level here, so it makes the fight quite interesting in any percent than it would be in like all dungeons or something.
Ooh, okay, that's weird. Normally when you headshot him, he'll take 2 and then topple. There he just fell for 1. That's strange. So I'm going to stand under here. If you stand in the middle of the room, when you headshot him, Water Blight will fall on that balcony over there, where you can't hit him at all. And I'll just, ooh, okay. So I get an extra cycle because he just sort of got up early on the other cycle. And there you go. Welcome to Fire Blight. So this is the beginning of the fights that can one-shot you. Wind Blight and Water Blight look scary, but they can't one-shot you at all. If you have full health, they're super fine. Water Blight or Fire Blight and Thunder Blight, I don't know, they have scary swords, so any hit by them might one-shot. Some of their attacks will, some of their attacks won't. But hopefully, y'all don't have to learn the fates of which attacks do what. So Fire Blight's second phase, he starts off getting inside a bubble, and he just sort of takes his time, so he can chill out, do some kick flips. And he will absorb the bomb that you put out, and then just eat it for breakfast like that. You'll notice that I'm standing opposite Fire Blight. Similarly, I did this for Stasis launches earlier. Basically, hitting an object while you're facing opposite it will give you multi-hits. And there you go. All right, good. Fire Blight, or Thunder Blight, ooh. Ooh, okay. Oh. That was quite interesting. He can either charge you at the start or start shooting thunderballs. And you want him to shoot the, or want him to charge you. Okay.
So the shield that you saw him have right there, by throwing the boomerang at it, you can instantly break his shield. Typically, you can just hit it with your sword, break it in a few hits, but he actually zoomed back right there, and it's pretty nice that it just hit.
Yes, boomerang is very handy. You'll see in this phase, you can do it a completely different way from how the developers intended. he always reforms his shield at the start of the phase, and he's always invincible, so even when his shield isn't actually formed, you can't hit him. So instead of hitting his little rods back at him, we're just going to break his shield and topple him again. And the way you finish this fight is quite flashy. So you spin him a little bit like this, and then break his shield, and then just slash him in the air. And there you go. And now we have Calamity. This is quite the tricky boss fight. Pretty much everything will one-shot me. And so I'm going to be focusing on flurry rushes and headshots here. Headshots do double damage with arrows, so they're quite important.
Flurry rushes are basically a kind of like bullet time effect that happens if you dodge an attack at a very precise time. You can do them to the side, back, and also if you're in the air and you pull out your bow, it'll happen as well.
So if you out-target Ganon like this, you can get it to where it's quite easy to get headshots because his head will basically be in the middle of the camera the whole time. And so it looks like I'm, MLG sniper right here, but it's quite easy. Shoot some arrows. I actually need to grab this claymore over here because I've gotten pretty much every headshot right now, which means the phase will end soon. This is enchanted. So pretty much every weapon you pick up off the ground in this game has a 10% chance of being enchanted, which gives it special effects. Typically, they don't really matter too much for 100% though, but it's a nice bonus.
Another interesting thing to note about Calamity Ganon is since we just came straight to Hyrule Castle, he does have full health. If you do complete some of the Divine Beasts, his health will actually be lowered down to at least half. So that is another thing that makes this more difficult than 80%.
All right, awesome. I hit almost every headshot there.
All right, so now we're coming to the second phase of the Calamity where he's supposed to be invincible most of the time. And we're waiting specifically for a laser attack that we can deflect right back at him, which will allow us to do a very convenient stun lock on him, but we're getting not so great RNG. We still need the laser.
This is a little scarier than it would be if you lasered me immediately. Okay. Good.
Nice, very good.
That's the only hard part left.
Yeah, so now we're going to do a specific amount of damage, and then we're going to start doing the spin charge attacks. Because if we do an over-the-shoulder attack onto Calamity Ganon right before he becomes invincible again, then he'll just fall to the floor, and we can pretty much rinse and repeat this for the entire second half of the battle.
Another smaller thing there as well, you notice that Orca threw the sword at him. You can throw weapons in this game for extra damage, and if you have a weapon that is about to break, it just makes more sense to just throw it instead of just swap. Get that extra damage in.
So this should be the last one.
Awesome.
Very nice.
And that's Calamity.
Wonderful.
That was very good. The parries for the lasers are pretty much required for that fight, and they have a very slim frame window. If you miss the parry, then you die. So that's my one concern about this run, just missing a parry and getting hacked up. The boss rush is quite extreme. If you die to Fire Blight, Thunder Blight, Calamity, it'll spawn you at the very start of the boss rush, so it's quite punishing. This is Beast Ganon. He's pretty much a moving cutscene, and if you die, it'll spawn you at the start of this. So don't worry, he's no worry to us.
So do I have a moment to clean up a few more donations?
Sure.
So first of all, I'd like to update you on the incentives for Earthbound. We are under 4,000 to complete the out of bounds incentive, and we need just under 15,000 more for the Fuzzy Pickles photo collection. So let's try and get both of those met before the end of Portal 2, as those both close very close to the start of Earthbound. Besides that, we've got several more donations, a lot of people cheering on the Zelda run, but I'd like to pick out just one right here. It says, Anna Klein, this Breath of the Wild is great. Thanks, Orca. Strom W donates $210, says, here's some money, the breath of my wallet.
So we can just kind of chill out here while Beast Ganon does his thing. You have to wait for him to laser, and then after that, he'll become vulnerable.
Generally, this boss fight is essentially a target practice.
Yeah. Something tricky about these little shots, though, is that they can be quite hard to hit the hitboxes. The hitboxes are quite deceiving. It's not just like merely the visual. Like if he's moving, the hitbox will actually sort of be where the visual was. So you have to like really pay attention.
However, the bow of light that we get from the beginning of this fight, it shoots much more straight than a normal bow would. It doesn't have the arrow drop.
Aw. There
Yeah,
we go.
so for this fight, you have to hit 3 shots on the sides of Calamity, or the sides of Beast Ganon, and then there's going to be a belly shot that we're going to do right here, followed by the final shot.
If you slow down, it can be quite easy to aim, so it's a good trick to do. Just jump off the horse and shoot. So now we're going to encore Umpu. French Zelda is pretty great. If there was like a tier list of voice actors, like all languages of this game, French would be very high up there.
And time is at the final shot.
Yes. Awesome. That went very well. All right. That was Breath of the Wild in 45 minutes. I hope that was fast enough for y'all. It's quite crazy just how fast you can do this game with the correct strategies and practice. The boss fights are definitely the hardest part of the game to learn for a beginner or anybody, but once you get past those, it's a treat to do. That's about it. Thanks y'all for watching and getting into intensive.
Nice.